Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Chris West. On this episode of Spiral Out, we have a great guest, super nice guy. His name is Dima Drjuchin. I love talking to him. He had one of the more unique posters of the tour, Anaheim 2022. Had a great conversation. He does a lot of cool stuff, music, animation, art. Check all his stuff out. In the show notes, you should see a bunch of links and whatnot to his different projects. And again, had a great conversation with him. Just want to give a few shout outs to people that have been super cool to me lately. Shane Hexum and Mark Stanley. They both sent me full sets of the pins that they do. Everybody knows Shane, and he does wild, crazy, awesome, intricate pins. And Mark Stanley does awesome pins as well, and they both sent me full sets, and they're amazing, and I can't thank you enough. Another shout out I would like to give is to Rob Whitlock. He wrote a book, and in the intro to that book, there's some tool-related stuff, and he sent me a copy of the book. So thanks, Rob, for the book. I can't wait to read it. Other news. Pucifer ended their first leg of their tour. I got to see two shows. The first one in Vegas and the third one in LA at the Greek, which was amazing. Both were amazing, actually. If you haven't seen that show, you need to get there on the second leg. I will be going to one more show on the second leg, the last show at Prescott, which I think holds a very small amount of people. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to Jerome, which is like not too far away from that area. I can't wait. I haven't been to Jerome yet. Pucifer store, here I come. Other big news with the podcast, my local newspaper doing an article on the podcast, which is super exciting. And they're talking about tool posters and the market and the podcast, and they came to my house and interviewed me. It was very, very exciting. So I can't wait for that to come out. And when it comes out, I'll let everyone that listens know. I think they reached out to a couple of artists as well and some fans. So super exciting news. The podcast is doing a giveaway right now. If you go and like and subscribe and comment on the giveaway post, you could win yourself a Pucifer tour poster. Super cool. We're just giving it away. So go to Instagram, like the post, follow the podcast, and you yourself could win a Pucifer tour poster. Again, thank everybody for listening. Enjoy this episode and enjoy other episodes to come. Spiral Out.
Hi, how are you?
I'm Chris.
I'm Dima.
Thank you for coming on, man, and short notice too.
Sure. My pleasure.
No, it's my pleasure. I will say that.
Absolutely.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast, where we talk about art and posters and whatnot. And our featured guest today, I'm very excited, is Dima Drjuchin.
Yes, you can call me Dima.
Dima.
I usually just
Dima's a lot easier. I'm usually pretty good with names.
I usually go by that professionally, but they put my full name on the poster.
I will call you Dima from here on out.
Sounds good.
I mean, I usually get into the tool stuff. I get that out of the way. Or how'd your art end up on a tool poster?
Painting I made like 11 years ago,
okay.
Completely unrelated. When I used to do art shows and stuff, and I did a solo show in San Jose at a gallery called Anno Domini. So I did these, like the show was kind of like these 5 feet by 5 feet, 6 feet by 6 feet painting, and a bunch of little ones. So that was one of them. And my friend Rory Scovel, the comedian, I don't know, do you know who that is?
Sounds familiar. I'm a big comedy fan. I have questions about that later.
Okay. He's a comedian and an actor. I've been friends with him for a while, and he bought that painting. And then I feel like in the last 10 years, he became like an enormous Tool fan.
Gotcha.
And he even scheduled his one of his stand-up tours to coincide with the Tool tour, so he can go see them.
What is his name?
A bunch of times.
Rory
Scovel. Scovel.
I'm gonna have to look him up if he's that big of a Tool fan.
Oh, he's and he somehow befriended them.
Gotcha.
He's very charming and really funny. He has I think a Netflix special and stuff like that.
He's legit.
He's a famous person that I know. But so he befriended them and became friends with Adam, and he lived and he had him over his house, and he basically just suggested me for the poster.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's like, "Oh, let's just do this painting." the one he had. So that was kind of amazing.
And this painting is called
Return of Colossus.
Yeah.
It was called Return of Colossus. Yeah,
it's a sick name.
Thanks. But yeah, I just kind of made up the painting, when I was painting it, not really thinking much where I was going. But that interaction with Rory, I have, I just sent their management, I get it rephotographed because I don't have a good high-res image of it.
Mm.
So they had to do that at his house and then send everything to them. And then 6 months later, I didn't even see what the design looked like until it was out.
Oh, that's another question, because your original image is much bigger than the poster that Tool came out. Does that bother you?
No, not at all. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
Sure.
as long as it says Tool on top of it.
Right?
I'm fine. But no, I mean, I was actually curious, how they're going to, because, it's a square painting, and posters are generally rectangles.
Yeah, 18 by 24.
So I was but they, yeah. But I feel like they do that with a bunch of them. But I don't know. I thought it was a creative solution to it. And I kind of that after drawing all these posters for the last couple of weeks, I kind of forgot that it's even a square. I haven't seen the painting in years, in person.
Because you guys, the artists usually get X amount to pretty much do whatever they want with it. It's kind of like their payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been remarking all of them?
So far, I mean, I was kind of in the dark about how to approach this. Before I got them, but I have a few friends that are in the poster world, and especially this kind of level. I've done posters for bands and comedians and stuff like that, but never. I feel like this is a different level of what I'm usually used to. Usually, I get maybe 2 or 3,
mm-hmm.
but the aspect of it, I think, really kind of takes it to a new level. So I was advised by a few people how to approach, but basically remark all of them and just try to sell all of them.
Yeah, no, I mean your remarks. First of all, your painting in general is insane, and I mean that in the greatest way possible, with the utmost respect. But then your remarks take it to a whole level. I kind of seen a few videos that you posted on Instagram or Facebook of you painting them from the side. Again, when you mentioned earlier that you weren't really you didn't really have a theme when you were coming up with the Return of Colossus, the original painting.
Mm-hmm.
So when you attack the remarks, what's going through your brain? Do you just I'm just gonna go more hard? I'm just gonna go hard. I'm gonna go ham even more.
I feel whenever I, especially back then, and I guess I kind of still do that. I kind of stopped painting when I fill up the canvas. I like to I get to like a point where I'm kind of sick of working on them. So like so that they're like I can like figure out where I can stop. But like with a thing like this is after 11 years I can look at it like there's stuff I didn't do back then. There's like for some reason back then I only used primary colors. I never used secondary colors. So I was like, well, there's like a whole other level I can add just by adding 3 more colors. And and I could always just keep going on them. Like I like doing busy things, so it's not that hard. So it's kind of like keep like plowing away at it. So I kind of when doing these remarks, I kind of thought about it. It's like, well, what would I do if I just kept going? And at the first like 10 I did, I feel like I came very like thin with each other. And I was like very just kind of like not on it on one and not on the other, and just like kind of keeping them all balanced. So I want to keep them like consistent for because I don't know like how buyers are gonna like react to like some being this way, some being that way. So like in 15, I kind of like kept very consistent, and like the colors are different, or I do like slightly different things, but for the most part, I did like the same thing. And then like after that batch, I kind of like loosened up and just started like, oh, what if like let's try something different. Drawing this one thing, what if I did something different there? And then just it kind of became of like, oh, I can do whatever, and just sometimes I'll like have more of a theme, and then if I'm feeling more like energetic, I'll like keep like more things on it. But I feel like that was almost a little bit counter to what I wanted to have, because I feel like those didn't sell as well as the first regular one.
So the ones you went ham on are a little bit they're
still sitting there.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that when you were painting, you didn't really have a theme per se, but you also said it's been 10 years. Has a meaning for this poster evolved or came about over the last 10 years? Does it mean anything now to you?
Not really. I kind of stopped thinking about them. Like, that was like a million paintings ago.
Sure. Is it kind of feel like a old friend comes back, like from vacation, like a reunion?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. And especially like stuff I was doing was kind of special, and like that's when I don't work that big anymore. Like I just don't have the space anymore. Not that I did back then, but I just kind of didn't give a shit. Like I would like live in a room with like a pile of like gigantic paintings when I was working on that show. And like it's like a good friend of mine owns it, so I know where it is. But yeah, I love that. I love that painting. I love that it has this whole second life now.
Right. It's got to be.
So it was it was kind of like one thing for me. Like now it's like another thing. Now it has like a whole. And it's funny because I feel like Rory also like valued up his painting by
because now it's a tool painting, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I got the original, son.
Yeah.
You say you paint until you fill up the canvas. Do you have like a ritual or anything like before you start painting or while you're painting? Like, do you have to be in a certain mindset, or you're just like, I feel like painting right now?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I listen to music, I smoke weed, but it's not. I don't meditate. I don't.
You don't give thanks to the paint.
No, I don't. Say anything. The painting is the meditation.
Sure.
But it's also like it's not like I, that there was glazed over and humming to myself. It's pretty like matter of fact.
A lot of people have asked me to ask you whether or not psychedelics or hallucinogenics were involved in making this painting.
No.
I didn't think so.
Just smoke pot.
I think it's just your style.
I mean, I've never done LSD.
Me either.
I've done a heroic dose of mushrooms once. It was really
As
fun.
Hunter S. Thompson would say.
Yeah, but not a big psychedelic jumper. I'm more of like I'm not a deep space diver. I'm more of a cloud hanger outer.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm curious to ask if there are hidden things in this that maybe people don't see right away. Or
probably.
Especially in the remarks, I'm guessing. What about hidden meanings? Again, I understand that you didn't have a motivation while painting it, but maybe you can speak about what was going through your brain while making it, like why you made the decisions you made. I guess, like, why'd you draw a big mountain or thing?
I feel like I might have had like sketched out a quick idea of this painting beforehand, if I remember, but you know, a lot of it was just kind of made up on the spot. I feel like I kind of played around with the idea of like multiverse splits,
Sure.
so that, you know, it is kind of like a mirrored, both kind of mirroring each other, but slightly different things are happening in them. You know, like you know, people, like if you look in the buildings, you know, they're like people there, but they're like it's the same people, but they have different little stories happening. So I feel like there's like things like that happening. But I also feel like sometimes I did paintings like that where I kind of try to keep them like symmetrical.
Sure.
But they're like kind of, but they're in my they kind of drive me crazy, this painting particularly, because it seems symmetrical, but when I try to like draw on stuff, I was like, none of this is actually like lined up properly. It's like, you know, I just like, that's kind of how I paint. But I feel like I'm better at doing things a little more symmetrical and cleaner that way now. But back then I was just kind of like, it was also like I would paint on the floor. You know, I don't have like an actual studio. Like I paint in my bedroom. So like I would paint on the floor, which I feel like destroyed my knees and my back.
Yeah.
Now that I'm too.
How long did it take you to produce this?
I can't. I think it says I have a time lapse of me doing it on YouTube. I feel like it says there. But I feel like it's like maybe like 3 weeks, 4 weeks sometimes. Depends. You know, I don't. You know, sometimes I'll work on for an hour. Sometimes I'll work on it all night. I feel like back then I would like start at like 8 at night and paint 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I fall asleep at 7:30 and I wake up at 5 in the morning.
That's what happens when you get older.
Yeah, I feel like my schedule completely like switched around. Now, like I'm only up when the sun's up.
It's probably more healthy that way.
It is. I feel like I really like working in the morning now. Like I kind of like sometimes I'll like wake up. You know, my wife will go to work. I'll work on stuff and you know, whether illustration or whatever, but you know, like then I realized like it's clocking for 2 hours.
Right.
I'll never do that back then.
The heptagram obviously wasn't there in the original art.
Oh yeah.
Did you have any say on where they put that? Because they hide them.
Nope.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. They told me nothing. Like I sent them an image and then like I didn't even see what it looked like until like somebody posted it online.
Oh, that's so wild to me. They're just like, thank you. Have a good life.
They're, you know, they're a big machine. Like,
right?
They're really like, I've worked with big bands and stuff before, and you know, I'll like talk to the actual artist and like or deal with the actual artist. Like, very rarely I'll deal with like this is the manager that deals with this and like they're fucking huge. Yeah, no,
they're probably. I would say they're probably top 5 rock acts in the world, if not, you know, top 3.
Yeah.
The only other question I have about that whole side of things is, do they ask you not to share the original image, before or talk about it being a poster?
Again, no one said anything to me.
All right, those are done. Those questions are done then.
I figured until I saw it, I was just like, back. I was like, this is a prank and pranking me. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything to anyone. I think I told like 3 people about it. Because I was just like that. In case it didn't like. I'm usually a lot more just like, guess what happened? Like I talked to this guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm much more. I don't care about that kind of stuff. But I feel like this time I was like, if this doesn't happen, I'm be pretty heartbroken. Right. And if I tell everybody, that really sucks.
You're not the first artist that thought they were being pranked.
It's because it is kind of on a different level of what posters usually are to
so
fans.
Do you mind explaining me what it usually is? Because my only view of this is from the Tool side. So like I'm just now getting into.
I feel like it's a lot. Do collect band posters a lot, but I've done a couple of them. But I feel like there's like the collector aspect of it is not as rabid as it is as Tool fans.
For sure. I guess the question I'm asking is more like, so say I'm a huge Mark Maron fan, probably on the same level of Tool, just a different. Like I'll go see Mark Maron whenever he's close to me. I'll even travel. But you have like you made one of his most iconic images, in my opinion, that CD cover, and you've done a bunch of posters. I guess he's like not this machine, right?
No. Well, him, it's funny because like I've been a big Mark Maron fan since like early Comedy Central when he posted.
I remember in his leather pants.
Yeah. Well, no, he used to host what's it called, Short Attention Span Theater, which is like I used to watch that show, like because I loved Comedy Central when it came on.
Yeah.
So he was like a comedian I always like followed, and like I always watched him on Conan, and I remember he had like an Air America show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like I feel like I was one of the few people that watched that. And then when he transitioned into his podcast, I remember he says he basically writes back anybody who writes him.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, hey, I'll do a poster for you if you want. Like, I'm a big fan. Like, and he took me up on it, and then it just kind of snowballed for a little while. And I did it doing his album cover was really great because I feel like that was like, he's one of my favorite comedians.
Right.
And I actually, I used to listen to his stand-up album, so it was fun to actually do one.
I think I listened to that album like less than a couple of weeks ago. But there's
that's fun. I took that photo of him. I remember, I took the reference photos of it. Of him, and I met up at his I met up with him one time at his hotel room to take photos of him, one time at his manager's place. It was fun. He's really nice.
Damn, you didn't get to go to the shed?
I have like nothing but. No, I've never been there.
Damn.
I've only met up with him in New York, and one time actually I was on the same flight with him.
Your poster comes out, you see it. Like, I'm guessing like a lot of the other artists, it shows up on Instagram and somebody tags you. What was that moment like?
Well, I remember it's just kind of like a faraway shot. I was like, can you like send me like a quick, can you get closer?
Please.
Can you get closer? Can you send that? That was really cool and exciting. It took me a while to get the posters, but I feel like after that, I started getting a lot of emails and people asking me for
remarks. Of course.
I was like, I'd love to give all of you one, but I don't have them. Yeah, it took like a couple of weeks to get them.
Have you done any custom remarks? Has anybody asked you to do anything like custom?
Actually, I just did one. They asked for a space theme.
Oh, sweet.
So I put some planets and aliens and stuff.
Oh, that would be
and
awesome.
They sent me a bunch of like constellations that they took. And I try to as best I could inside the building.
I would love to see that space one. I have your poster coming in the mail right now, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it took a while to get. I collect as well. I'm trying to get one of every artist that I interview, and it was really funny because I'm like, I gotta get a Dimitri one, and literally somebody like the next day somebody was like, here you go, you can just have it. And I was like, what the heck? No, I know, it was great, and is just very synchronistic and nice. I hope this is not a shitty question, but I feel like I have to ask it, and I'm trying not to be a bitch about asking this question either. When people think of tool art, they usually think of like Chet Zar, Alex Gray, Cam DeLeon, and there are a couple of people commenting like this doesn't look like tool art, which I disagree with. I think tool art is whatever.
I also disagree with it.
I think tool art is whatever tool decides their art is.
I mean, Adam Jones took that painting.
Agreed. So I kind of want to just get your.
Well, to me, like I am a Tool fan. I've been listening to him since Undertow came out.
Right.
I remember I was the first kid in my middle school to listen to them. That I saw the video for Sober, and I was so fucking
Yeah, it blows you away.
Kid, that's like.
Yeah, the fucking little guy at the hand and shit.
Yeah.
And again, I hope I didn't offend you with that question, but I feel like I have to ask it.
No. I've seen a lot of comments.
Right?
But and to me, like they're very inspirational growing up, and like they're one of the bands I really really latched onto. Is it and one of the bands I kept listening to from that time. Like
sure.
I never not listened to Tool. I've seen them a couple of times. Like I feel like visually, like Tool's in there to me. It's like they were an inspiration growing up, and it's not overtly Tool. I'm not I don't want to paint like Alex Gray. I love Alex Gray,
right.
but like I feel like I feel like there is Alex Gray in my painting on some levels because he's also somebody I admire. But
here's what I'll say:
not everyone has the same
palette
thing, and that's fine. And that's I don't like. I'm not trying to get everybody to like my stuff.
And that's the point right there. Not everything is for everybody. I will say, in my opinion, and this is obviously just my opinion, if you actually look at the photo, there's a lot of occult stuff. You can interpret a lot of images that Tool uses. It's just not as dark on the surface.
Yeah.
That's really it. Everything else is super Tool, in my opinion.
I feel like when they say it doesn't look like Tool, it doesn't. They say it doesn't either look like the Sober video or like Alex Gray artwork. Yeah,
which is what and in that case, it's like just go buy some more Alex Gray stuff.
Yeah,
which is great.
I mean that's kind of like that's kind of the thesis of these posters. I think is that I feel like Adam is trying to broaden the scope of what Tool art can look like, and when you hire 40 artists to do, like, you can't just hire 40 artists that do the same thing. That's boring.
It's
like if you're going to hire 40 artists to do a poster for a different show every night, like you want it to be different and fun, and like especially like it does create this like ecosystem of artwork and what is considered Tool art now.
It gave me a project,
Yeah.
Like there's so many artists now.
I mean, it's kept me busy all summer so far. And that's the nice thing about that. From Adam, I feel like he recognizes that people spend a lot of money on these things, and like that could be very beneficial to artists. somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of money, I don't make a lot of money doing art, but, this is what I do. This is literally the most money I've ever made doing anything. And I've done some like high profile things, but like I've never made this much money in this little amount of time.
Fair enough.
One thing. So like, I'm like forever grateful to them for, and that's just something that just they do for, for artists essentially.
Yeah. They didn't ask for anything other than a piece of art from you.
Yeah. I mean, they paid $1,000 too.
Yeah, like, I hear they do that. Like just in case.
Which is,
in case your box gets lost.
Yeah. Well, like I felt like $1,000. I feel like that's just like the illustration.
Yeah.
Minimum they do. But that's still like that's a good amount for a poster,
right?
For something I did like 11 years ago. They're great.
Again, I did read you have a lot of occult influences. Is that something you're just into in your personal life? Because I'm really interested in like weird magic stuff as well, especially the images. I guess the real question,
I feel like,
how do you think symbols influence people? Especially these basic symbols. Not basic, but like ancient, I guess. I don't know, pyramids, obelisks, eyeballs.
I feel like there's a lot. I feel like back then, like me and my friends were kind of, reading up on stuff like that a lot more. But I'm not like an occultist or a witch.
Me neither, but I think it's interesting.
But I do love concepts of some symbology and things like that, and how like powerful symbols can be. But they're all ultimately powerful because we give them meaning and power.
Sure.
Like I was born in Moscow, Russia, and like growing up, like the hammer and sickle was like burned into my mind,
right? And
it meant a very certain thing to me. So like now that I'm like in my 40s and very from those days, like it means something completely different. And just how like things like that affect people, especially like the things. It's funny because like I do, I put a pyramid in eye in a pyramid a lot in my paintings and stuff like that. Sometimes people send me other people's artwork that do that, and they're copying it. I'm like I'm drawing the stuff that's on the back of our money,
right?
Like this is a ubiquitous symbol.
This is thousands of years old.
Yeah, I was like, anyone can draw this. Right. I was like, I didn't make this up either. I was like, it's literally on our money. But like things like that, like they pop up in the most like obvious places, but people think they're these ancient symbols too. So I like peppering that in things, and I kind of like recontextualizing them within the world I create, and kind of like giving them a different meaning there, and hopefully that comes across.
Let's talk about your universe, because it seems like most of your art does, if it was like it seems like it does take place in a universe, like it's its own big, huge, colorful, fluffy, scary world.
I feel like when I was younger, I used to describe my artwork as the cartoons people watch in Alex Gray's painting.
I could see that
back then.
No, that's very cool, because
like
I could see
this would be the Saturday morning cartoon inside your shirt.
Exactly. Like if that guy sat down, if the guy with a bunch of chakras sat down and was like, I'm just going to eat some cereal and watch cartoons.
I just need to zone out.
Yeah, this is what I'd watch. I'd watch Dima's. What would your cartoon be called?
Well, actually, I did animate a short a couple years ago. Twice. Fatal Shame. So it'd probably be called Fatal Shame.
What was it called?
Fatal Shame.
I saw some drawings on your website of that.
If you on YouTube, I have like I did like an episode
I will attach that to the show notes. What was the cartoon about?
Just a bunch of shorts. Like I was just kind of teaching myself how to animate, and it was kind of like a collection of little pieces I did.
Was it superhero themed?
No, like it kind of starred me, a cartoon version of me.
Nice.
It's like some of them are based on like the comic I did. It was just kind of like also like 1-page jokes. But it was like it was, you know, I look back at it now. I kind of wish I animated better then, but I was literally just learning how to do it.
You still have time, my friend.
I mean, I'm still doing it.
Nice.
I've gotten better since.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that. I feel like I missed the mark and didn't know about that beforehand.
It's okay. I that was like a while ago too. It's not anywhere on the forefront.
So you grew up in Russia. What part of Russia?
I was born there. I was born in Moscow, but I grew up in the Bronx and just in New York City since I was 1.
Oh, so you moved you moved pretty young.
Yeah, but I went to a Russian school in the Bronx till I was 13. Then I went to started going to American schools after that.
Do you mind if I ask what that was like? Like, what is a Russian school like?
Well, I was in Russian school in the 80s during, you know, when Russia was still communist.
During the Cold War.
During the Cold War. And, you know, I went there, you know, I dressed in like full uniform for chief. I was a young pioneer, like the last year you could do it. But I don't know. It was just school. It was, you know, a bunch of kids in the class. I felt like I got yelled at a lot. You know, it's a Russian school. I feel like, you know, my teachers were pretty nice. I feel like, and like the kids like in my grade, I feel like were really nice kids. I still know a few of them too. But I feel like, you know, that institution was about like 5 years, like away from like when they stopped hitting kids, you know, as a discipline.
Sure.
But, you know, because I remember like they would, you know, to discipline you, they would, you know, they would stand you up and just like yell at you in front of everybody. Like
we used to be able to just fucking damn the late 80s.
So like early 80s too.
Fair enough.
I was born in 80. And I started going until like 85.
And the reason I'm asking about the Russian school and whatnot is I would try to look up some Russian influenced art. And maybe I'm just making this connection, maybe I'm not, but I feel like you can see some similarities in your work.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that, like one of the, like I did, you know, Father John Misty.
Mm-hmm.
I did one of his covers, and I mean, it's basically like a Russian icon. Like a lot of my like the stuff like this is based on, you know, Russian religious icons. Painting.
I seen that Russian wrestling Jesus that you did.
Yeah, this is like one of actually my aunt used to be married to like an icon painter, kind of like a very ubiquitous style in Russia because they're like they sell them like on the street, you know, like paintings of Jesus or Mary, and but it's like a kind of a specific style.
Or Tom Selleck.
I feel like we had a bunch of them growing up in my house. We weren't like religious or anything, but like my dad liked them. And yeah, my aunt's ex-husband gave us a couple of them that he painted. So you know, they're kind of like always, you know,
around
in front of me. So I feel like it kind of seeped through.
Did it happen naturally, or did you like notice like, oh shit, there are definitely some elements here?
I don't know. Like I feel like I kind of started doing them more. You know, I wanted to kind of emulate that style, but I feel like the fact that it was just so, you know, common in my house to see that it was just it felt natural to go that way. especially like, when you like do a portrait. I started doing like more portrait like looking things and of like characters and things like that. A lot of portraits are they're presented very formally, and like the subject knows that they're being presented.
Sure.
So and that's I feel like a lot of religious artwork has that kind of feel of like this is a staged pose, or like this is a very like I'm sitting for
I'm distinguished.
So I kind of like emulating that with these kinds of paintings, and I like the idea of like religious paintings without the religion.
I could definitely see that in some of your work. As I tried to study, I may be wrong with my interpretation, but it definitely does seem like you are getting more refined. I guess I don't know if I never want to offend an artist because I'm not. Like, I can't draw a stick figure. So for me to be like, oh, you're getting more refined, it's like, who the fuck am I? Like, I'm just a guy on a computer.
I feel like a thing like that happens, if you just keep doing what you do. I mean, I feel like now, I kind of stopped doing art shows a couple years ago. And, I kind of started, like, painting less on canvas and kind of less to sell them, and kind of, I remember I started working more in like sketchbooks and on paper, and just kind of trying to do more stuff, not worry about where it's going or what it's going to be used for, who's going to buy it. So I feel like that kind of like broke me out of like a certain kind of mold I was working in. Like these lately, I feel like I just kind of been doing a lot more abstract stuff and just exploring things like that. Sometimes when you draw a certain way and for a long time. These like, you want to change things up. Like I look at that painting, like I probably like, if I sat down to paint the same thing, probably wouldn't even look anything like it anymore. So like I don't really approach things the way I approached things back then. And, I mean, part of it is that like I don't try to like stick to one routine of doing things. I don't just paint. I also like work digitally. I draw a lot. Like
you're also a musician.
I'm also a musician, I do a lot of stuff for that, and, and all that kind of like, doing videos and, album covers, music and things like that. I feel, it's good to kind of diversify things, because like, if I just did one thing, I already get sick of it, or I feel like when I do animation, I like use my, knowledge of music and timing and, drawing and all these things kind of come together. And I feel like they, trying a different medium, like kind of opens you up in your other mediums to work a different way and kind of frees you up, to do things differently. I feel like, I feel like it's a push and pull with any artist, is that, you kind of want to figure out your thing and like have people recognize that thing, but also you kind of don't want to like stick to that thing all the time and like free yourself to do other things. And
you want to be typecast.
Yeah.
You don't want to be.
It's nice when people like recognize your work. And, things like that. But I feel like, with all the like, like with like, I feel like with my animation stuff, especially like in the videos I've been doing, and they're kind of more like rotoscope, where like I draw over video,
sure,
and then like animate around it.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I feel like like they stimulate me in a way, and like force me to draw in a way that I don't normally draw. Like I can draw realistically, somewhat, not as well as I would if I was just like tracing something.
Gotcha.
But my knowledge of drawing makes me trace things better.
I bet.
But it's fun to kind of like, figure out, I had to figure out how to use like Adobe Animate and all these things, like just by like, I would just look up YouTube tutorials of like, I need to know how to do this thing. Like, I need to first of all figure out how to ask YouTube how to find this answer. And usually there's like a really nice 14-year-old boy explaining it all to me.
Or like a... Or like a 49-year-old dude in a basement as well. It's usually either or. I do video production myself as well. I don't do a lot of animation or anything, but I mean, if you're listening and you don't know how tedious it is to sit in front of a computer for, I don't know, 12 hours to try to figure out how to solve a problem that literally lasts about 6 seconds, if that. It's
like once you do, like, man, once you do, there's like, I feel, when I started using Animate, like the first video I did on it, I used it as I rotoscope, and I didn't use any kind of like library things, but once I kind of learned how to like loop things and like have a loop within a loop within a loop, and like have all these, it's like the whole world opened up. I'm like, oh my god, that's like, there's a point where like I can do anything now.
Yeah.
I just like, I know, like I have like, when I get to a problem, like I have like several solutions I can do instead of just like having to look up one.
You're like, thank God for plugins.
But, yeah. Thank God for plugins, and thank God for like, teenagers who have nothing to do, put up tutorial videos on YouTube.
Which is
how to like, make an asset.
There's something I obviously super appreciate, because again, same level, even doing this podcast, it's like I run into little problems where I'm like, what is this file? How do I do this? What are these waveforms that I'm supposed to be messing with? And all of a sudden you're just like, oh, here's this 11-minute video this guy did 6 years ago. And you're like, who told you to do this? Thank you. But like, when did you have the time or energy to sit down?
Yeah.
Like, are you
I've never thought to like, like do a tutorial of how to do,
mix your paint
thing and animate. Yeah.
Like, this is how you clean. This is how you clean your brushes properly.
But I absolutely appreciate people doing that, because like, who the fuck needs art school anymore? Just know how to ask YouTube. YouTube has all the answers.
That really should be the course right there. You should have one class in college, is how to ask YouTube correctly for what you're looking for.
Very important how to word things.
Exactly. Where is going to be, I'm switching gears. Where do you think your art has taken you that you may not have been if you weren't an artist?
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, like most people I know, I would never work for school.
Right.
I mean, that's like, I would never even like would have dreamed that would even happen, now, until they asked me.
Until until you saw that far away picture of your poster.
But I don't know, it's hard to say, because I've been doing this.
It's your whole life.
I was a teenager.
Let's talk about your music real quick.
Sure.
So you play guitar and sing in multiple bands.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been playing in bands. I started playing bass most bands, but like since I was 30, I've been more guitar singing. But right now I'm in two bands. One I play bass in, one is my band where I sing. Kissed by an Animal.
What is the band you sing in?
Kissed by an Animal.
Kissed by an Animal? And
the band I play bass in is the Black Flag, which are kind of both kind of the same band. It has 3/4 of the same people in it.
You switch up instruments?
Shuffled around. Yeah, except for same position in both teams.
So obviously, painting, you're by yourself, but you're being creative. Band is a collaborative effort. Do you get the same things out of them, even though it's like a different process? Like, does it feel that whole or whatever? Or like, do you like sense of fulfillment?
I feel like music is kind of more like my social life. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's where that's how I go out.
Sure.
I feel like if I was in a band, I would never go out anymore.
Just doing animation in your room alone.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm happily married. Like I don't really go out to bars. Or I don't drink really heavily either. So like I don't like that kind of like stuff. Doesn't really. So but shows I can do.
Yeah.
I like playing it. I like performing.
Shows are fun.
I also like music is fun because it's also collaborative. I'm very lucky to be in a band. Great musicians and really good friends. They're really fun to we don't argue or anything. Just we're all in our like 40s too, so like
you're beyond that. Like
yeah,
these 17-year-olds like I don't like that name. Or your
Well,
jeans aren't tight
we're
enough.
all very. Also, like everyone in I play in the band with also has their own things going on. They're also in several other bands. So they have their own projects that they work on. Like my band, because Fine Animals, like primarily I'm the songwriter. Me and my partner John, he's the singer and the main songwriter, and the Black, our other band, and he plays drums in my band. And he's like, we like collaborate really, really well. I feel like, I send him ideas, or he send me ideas, and we can like actually like build on them and things like that. And it's we've been doing both bands for like about the same amount of time, and we've already done like 2 records each.
Nice.
I'm releasing a new record because a new record next month.
Oh wow, awesome.
July 10th.
Nice. Yeah, it's like next week, or like 2 weeks.
That's my birthday too.
Oh well, happy early birthday. I have a.
Thank you.
So earlier you were talking about, at least with that Return of Colossus painting, you didn't really have like a goal with songwriting. Is it the same way? Do you approach songs like the same way, or do you usually have a theme you're going with an individual song when you're songwriting?
Kind of write songs. Like, well, this new record is kind of like a mix of songs I wrote like 7 years ago and like songs I wrote during the pandemic. But I don't know. I kind of write things kind of quickly. I feel like once I kind of get the idea of what I want, or kind of something germinates, I feel like I can like follow it pretty quickly. Also during the pandemic, me and 2 of my bandmates and another buddy of mine that I grew up with had like a songwriter meeting, like Zoom meeting every week, where we'd like, present something we worked on
Nice.
last 2 weeks or so. So I actually had a few of those songs that ended up on my new record. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't, kind of force ourselves to do that. But I don't know. I just kind of like fuck around with stuff till I hear something and then follow it up.
You just do your thing, whether it be
It happens
painting,
very quickly.
whether it be painting or music, or you're just doing your thing. You're just figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean,
I respect that. I really do.
I mean, sometimes I have like more. I feel like songs that it's less pressure because
Mm-hmm.
With art, I feel like more people pay attention. But at the same time, like I don't ever feel pressured to appease any kind of audience.
And nor should you, because then you would cease. You would cease to be yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's also just like the idea that people who are paying attention like want something from me is funny.
Speak on that if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, it's like I feel like I post like with art, post what I post, and like people like what they like. But I feel like music is a little more personal in that you have to kind of like spend a lot more time with it, and people get more critical of it when they don't like it.
Fair enough. Well, I got a couple of questions I ask everyone, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. No.
So you say you were a Tool fan, or are a Tool fan, have been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this podcast is about, we do Tool posters, collections. Yeah. Do you collect anything of your own?
Mostly just records, I guess. I guess that's the only thing I really buy for myself anymore. Me and my wife live in a really small apartment. We have this room and our bedroom. That's it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have like, a bunch of art that I collect from like friends of mine, like traded with. I have small Donatello collection.
That's awesome.
Some Joker stuff. But I don't know. I kind of like, I don't really like have like anything that I like collect, actively. It's just like if I like something, I'll get it. But I try not to, my apartment's pretty cluttered already, so I kind of try to keep the amount of stuff I have to a minimum. And, things like posters, like I would love to collect them if I had wall space, but
right.
I don't.
And
plus, like, I kind of like I have like enough original artwork from like artists that I really like that I like was lucky enough to trade with. Or
do you have a favorite artist?
What's that?
Do you have a favorite artist?
Do I have a favorite artist? I have stopped having favorites anything.
I get you. I'm getting to that age as well, to tell you the truth.
It's weird, like, you know, like when you're a kid, you have like a favorite band, and like, and they have like this tier list of bands I like, and but now, like, I was like, that's such a weird thing to do. I was just like, what? Like, why have everybody compete? Like, just like what you like,
especially in your own brain, right?
Yeah. Like, who am I competing with?
Just yourself. Just yourself.
Yeah.
You're just creating drama in your own brain because you're bored.
Yeah, I was like, I love listening to records over and over and stuff like that, but like, you know, it doesn't have to be the only band I can do that with. But I feel like generally though, when like Tool drops an album, like I'll be obsessed with it for like a couple of weeks.
Fair enough. And I'm kind of embarrassed to ask the next question because we kind of already answered that. But do you have a favorite Tool song, even though you don't? We're talking about how probably favorites, here's how I should ask this question. And when you think of Tool, what's the first song that comes to your brain?
I feel like the cover of Anima always comes up. I feel like, like I got to know when Undertow came out, but I feel like Anima was really like, maybe Think This comes up.
Yeah.
When I think Tool. But I feel like, that was like a very, like, I saw them on that tour for the first time, like in Roseland, which is like, you know, just like a venue. I mean, that was a really violent show.
Please speak on that.
I remember like genuinely being like, I got up pretty close. I like when I was like a teenager, I'd always try to like get up front.
Same.
But not like early on. I mean, wouldn't get there early to get there, but like I just fight my way up there. Or like find a way to like get there. But I remember I got like maybe like 2 people away from the barricade. So like the crowd surfers were so like aggressive. They were like kicking me in the head so hard that I got like genuinely nervous that I was like, they might like break my neck.
Yeah, I might die here. I might die right now.
I was like, I'm like I'm still fragile.
Right.
But, you know, like my first concert was Pantera.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, you know, I kind of really jumped in there head first. And, you know, it didn't deter me either. Like, I used to just go into pits and like.
That's my favorite thing until I got about 30, until I got about 33.
Yeah. I remember, there's like, I remember there was a concert. I was like, big Superchunk fan. I remember the first time I saw them was like, it was like 30 something, and I had like the best time, and I like fucking went nuts. And then the next time I saw him was like 3 years later, and I'm just like, why is everybody touching me? Why is everybody near me? Like I remember that like finally hit, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't like this anymore. I don't like people touching me.
There's 2 shows. There's 2 shows that happened to me recently. In the last few years, I went to Under Oath like a few years back. Same thing, like went in the pit. Have my whole hardcore, like, I'm good. We're going to do some karate in here. It's going to be fun. And then, like I said, 2-3 years later, you're just like, ugh, everybody smells. Like, I just want to sit and drink a bubbly water. And then, again, it happened at, like, Motion City Soundtrack. Me and my lady see them a bunch, too. And, just people going crazy. You wouldn't think people go crazy at a Motion City Soundtracks show, but they do. They go nuts. Again, we see them every year, and we always see them multiple times. And first year, we go to 4 shows, and they were relatively calm and still having fun. And, you know, last year or year before that, before the pandemic, just like, please stop touching me. Same thing. Just
my favorite thing now is if I can get my way up into a balcony or like, you know, a VIP area. Sometimes, you know, I feel like most of the concerts I go to, somebody like takes me and and sometimes, you know, there's a VIP area that I can stand in. Like I saw Arcade Fire like do like a small show here recently, and I went with somebody that had like VIP area, and I just stood on the balcony and just watched from the top. I was like, this is fucking amazing. They're so good. Like this, like, just like that energy. So like, I love being like over and just watching from there.
We recently saw Bayside like that here in Vegas, and had some like balcony over the top, and you're like literally right on top of the stage, and you're like, oh, this is way better. Like that down there is for the young people, and then I'll be up here.
And I also like, I kind of when I started kind of going back to concerts. Yeah, the first one I went to Flaming Lips. They were like, cause they're playing right by my house. I worked with Wayne too. But like, I didn't realize he gave us like balcony wristbands. So like, I went, downstairs and then like had a panic attack, but ended up watching from the side. Then I went to see LCD Sound System a couple months later, and I thought it'd be like better. And I got like, I remember like when they started playing, it got so packed, and I was like getting crushed like against the thing, and like I just like started panicking and like clawing my way out of the audience.
Oh,
and
that's the worst.
Pissing people. I was like knocking people like just kind of like,
get the
and
fuck
somebody's
away
like,
from
"What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm freaking out."
Oh, yeah, right.
And
like,
and then I went outside and just kind of sat there for a while. Yeah, I'm the only one in a mask. And then I sat there for a while, then like kind of watched from the side, and then last like half hour of the show, a guy came up to like me and a bunch of other people who were clearly not comfortable being inside anymore, and he's like, gave us all wristbands to go upstairs and watch from the balcony.
Well, that was nice of him.
I was like balcony stuff.
Right?
I'm not sure when I'll ever be in a crowd moshing ever again.
I don't know. I got like four more Motion City soundtrack shows coming up next week. So, and my lady
Anthrax in August, but I feel like we're gonna go stand somewhere safe.
My lady likes to get. She doesn't like to get on the railing. Oop. She doesn't like to get on the railing. She doesn't like to be too far back. She's like the 10 people from the barricade, which is like the worst. But
that's where all the action is.
I know, it's the worst. But I don't know. We'll have fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
I am a fan.
Thanks. I really appreciate you coming on. The show will be out in a couple weeks. Will you tell the audience and those listening where they can find your stuff, where they can watch your videos and hear your music and do the whole plug thing?
My new record by my band Kissed by an Animal is called I Don't Have to Explain Myself to You. It's coming out on Handstand Records and Evil Records. It'll be available on vinyl. I think we should be getting them very, very soon. Our first record's also available, so you can watch all my stuff on my website, dimadrjuchin.com. I think that's probably the best, like, all-encompassing thing. What else? And both my bands are actually doing a split 7-inch in the fall. We're doing both of us the same. Like me and my buddy John, who's in both bands, when we first got together, we kind of wrote this song, the style of both bands. And so we did a split 7-inch with that song in both styles. And
that's awesome.
Like, that'll be out in, I think, in the fall.
Cool. And again, I'll post all these links with the show notes, and check his website out. Go buy those remaining Return of Colossus. Go buy the remaining Remarks. He's got a couple on online. Listen to his bands and reach out. He's a super nice guy. Super talented.
Very fun.
Super talented, doing a lot of cool stuff. Again, really appreciate you coming on the show.